Okay, we are walking now down Ashburton Place. And with the monument in front of us. The monument would have been 85 feet higher in those old days, before 1811, when it was taken down. I don't know. Okay, here's the class approaching here. Okay, just get closer. How many of you have walked by this monument 10 times? Okay, I've walked by it hundreds of times. Has anybody ever read any of the plaques? Okay. What, this one or the one on the other side? Okay. This is a plaque that was put up in 1898, which gives some of the history. 1634, the General Court, the state legislature, decreed that there would be a beacon on the top of Beacon Hill, as I mentioned earlier in class, as a warning. It was rebuilt up until the 1780s when it blew down. And a brick and stone monument was designed by Charles Bulfinch that replaced it, and it was removed in 1811 when the top of the hill. The top of the hill would have been approximately where the eagle is on top. So imagine if we had just walked up to the top of the hill back in 1811. Any of us would be huffing and puffing? Well, certainly me, and I suggest that even though you guys are a lot younger than me, many of you would be huffing and puffing as well. It was not an easy walk, and in fact, there was no path coming up from that side. There was a street, Century Street, that led from Beacon Street up to the top of the hill. And then, as we saw in the lithograph from 1811, up the staircase, there was a set of stairs that didn't stop just where these, but went up several flights to where this monument would have been. And when this was built in 1798, there was no east wing to the State House. That did not exist. And you could see straight to the Hooker statue. The Hooker statue was in a big park that went from Beacon Street all the way to Durham Street. And it was much easier to view it then because it wasn't surrounded by buildings. Well, I highly recommend that the next time you walk by this monument that you read the plaques. These plaques were put up in 1790. They were in the original. And when the original was taken down, they were put in storage in the State House. This particular park has been many things over the years. Temple Street used to go right by here. Temple Street went as far as where the east wing of the State House is today. There were Beacon Hill townhouses all here, facing the courthouse, or what is now the courthouse. And there were a double line of them. There were ones that were fronting on Bowden Street that faced the courthouse. Then this would have been the backyard, and then there would have been others that would have faced what is now the addition to the State House. From 1860s to 1880s, instead of that addition, there was a reservoir. The Beacon Hill Reservoir with water pumped from Lake Cochituate in Framingham, provided one of the main sources of water for not only Beacon Hill, but also the city of Boston. It was one of the great engineering feats on the hill, and it went up to about where the stone part stops before the brick starts, and looked out over Durn Street, over the north slope of the hill, towards the what is North Station and the TD Garden. Okay, well, as I mentioned, next time you go by here, or one of the times, read the panels that date from 1790. Now we're going to walk along Bowden Street, take a right on Beacon Street, and about 50 feet in, we'll go towards the Hooker statue. General Joseph Hooker was the best of the Massachusetts generals during the Civil War. He wasn't a very good general. His major battle was the Battle of Chancellorsville, when he had 132,000 troops and was defeated by 68,000. I'll repeat some of this when we get to the monument. Okay, we're now walking along Bowden Street. Yeah, maybe we'll stop here. Okay, everybody, catch up.
And it's not exactly, but it's the same color and it has the same like.
Yeah, this was the addition here. And this was a little addition as well, but not too far. This is Mount Vernon Street. It used to go all the way through. Before 9/11, you could walk through here and drive through here.
Really?
And it was all open, as was the State House. I used to cut through the State House when I would come up from Park Street.
Right here?
Yeah, you could walk. You could walk and drive right through here. It was just an extension of Mount Vernon Street. Yeah.
Why did they take it out?
Well, for security, especially if a bomb goes off under that arch, I presume. You know, for the security of the State House. They also have metal detectors, but we won't go through there. But when we do visit the State House later in the semester, we'll have to go through metal detectors again, as we did at the John Adams courthouse. But before the extension to the State House was built, there were houses all along here, and it was a residential area. But when the government needed more space, it took over this area and built this large extension. I think the cornerstone says 1888. Hi, Ken. We're doing our seminar on Boston. You may. I was just explaining. Remember when this is Dean Kenneth Greenberg of the College of Arts and Sciences. I was telling them that the Mount Vernon Street used to go right through here, and you used to be able to drive and walk through here all before 9/11 changed the ball game quite a bit. We are taping this, so you are now on tape as well, immortalized. And we have looked at the Beacon Monument, and now we're going to go over look at the Joseph Hooker statue. You remember him, one of the most distinguished Massachusetts officers of the Civil War. I don't know if you remember, he lost the Battle of Chancellorsville, even though he had 132,000 troops to Robert E. Lee's 62,000 or something like that. But we have his statue, and then we're going to see the Shaw 54th Memorial and go down to Emancipation Group in Park Square. So this is part of Seminar for Freshmen, Beacon Hill, Fact, Fiction, and Fantasy.
Wonderful.
Okay, yeah.
Enjoy yourselves.
Okay, great. Take care. Yeah. And actually, we owe the seminars for our freshmen to Dean Greenberg, who was the primary mover behind those.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go over to the Hooker statue now. So it's nothing particular to do with Beacon Hill. While we're here. Okay, yeah, come closer so people can get by. This is a statue of Mary Dyer, who was a Quaker who in the 1660 was executed on Boston Common for practicing her religion and refusing to bow to the dictates of the Puritans. This early 20th century statue was put up to indicate that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts no longer holds to that intolerance. Okay, let's go up. We'll look at the Hooker statue. Yeah, this is the Hooker statue. It's more what?
Professor, when I look at other state houses in other states, this feels more like a palace than any other state house I've been to. The dome is really nice. I mean, it feels more like an opulent mansion.
Yeah, it's no one lives there. The governor does not live here. Yeah,
but it feels like, you know, it's just.
It's the people's house. The original part was just the brick, so it was much less imposing. It didn't have all of this in the back. It's sort of a combination of symbol of the democratic government, having the state legislature, the governor's office and everything here, and also quite a bit of the state bureaucracy before it spilled over into other parts of Beacon Hill and other parts of Boston and the Commonwealth. Originally, as I mentioned, this was simply a park that would go all the way through to Durn Street and over to Suffolk. And you didn't have the tree there, you didn't have the buildings surrounding it, and so it was much easier to see this statue. Joseph Hooker, as I mentioned, but maybe many of you might not have heard, was chosen sort of to symbolize Massachusetts in the Civil War, but almost by default. There were no outstanding Massachusetts generals during the Civil War. And the best of the lot was Joseph Hooker, who for a while was commander-in-chief of the Army of the Potomac before he was removed by Abraham Lincoln. Until Ulysses S. Grant became commander-in-chief, there were a lot of failures as soldiers. And the most famous battle that Hooker commanded was the Battle of Chancellorsville in, I believe, 1863. He outnumbered Robert E. Lee's army 2-1, and he lost the battle. Okay, now if he had won the battle, which would have ended the Civil War, then indeed he would merit this. He was very good, however, to his soldiers. In fact, too good. In a sense, the generals that win are the generals who put their soldiers at risk. And in the risk-taking, they end up defeating the enemy. The generals who are too protective of their soldiers tend to lose the battles when the two sides are pretty evenly matched. Hooker was beloved by his troops, who petitioned the state legislature to pay for this. This is one of the first monuments in Boston paid for by public funds. And there was a controversy over the name on it. Hooker, originally it said something like General Joseph Hooker, a soldier in the Civil War. And the soldiers who had served under him thought that this was demeaning, and they demanded something more effusive and elaborate. And the compromise was just to put his name on it, Hooker, as if like saying Washington or Lincoln, it would carry the day. Well, of course, how many of you knew anything about Joseph Hooker before I just explained it? Okay, just a few of you. He is basically a great unknown. But the statue shows just him. Is there any indication of what war he fought in? I mean, if you're just a tourist coming here, do you know whether he fought in the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the Mexican-American War, the Civil War, the Spanish-American War?
He fought the Mexican-American War too.
He did, but I mean, his main fame, why he's here, is Civil War. Yeah, but the Civil War, really, it has an indication. What's the indication in his uniform?
The way his jacket looks, his rank on his shoulders.
Yeah? Yeah? And that indicates it, okay. But the casual tourist, wouldn't know those details. I certainly didn't know those details. There are no men around him. It's as if he and the horse won the war all by themselves. It is a typical way of celebrating great commanders. On the public garden facing Commonwealth Ave, there's a great statue of George Washington alone on horseback. Nobody has to be told what war he fought in. There are no men there. There is just Washington alone. Washington can carry that. Hooker can't, or can't totally. It is sometimes said that the name for a prostitute as a hooker came from his name. His headquarters of the Army of the Potomac was supposedly overrun by prostitutes, but really the name of the word hooker for prostitute is hundreds of years older. It was just a coincidence that happens to be the general's name. When Augustus St. Gaudens originally thought of the monument to Shaw, this is what he was thinking of. Something like this, that he would have done showing Shaw on horseback. Well, let's go over, we'll cross the street. Be careful with the traffic and everything here. I don't want to lose anybody on the way.
What are we doing here?
Really late 70s.
Business cycle.
That's great.
We're just waiting to cross the street for those of you who are listening. Okay. Excuse me. Yeah, you see the sword is broken here. You can see the hilt of the sword It's very thin, so it's very often snapped off. And it'll be fixed. They do this regularly. I don't know if they've got 1,000 swords on order, or they just have some welder come in and put it together.
They do fix it?
Yeah, they do fix it. About every other time I come to see the monument, it is snapped off. And you can see certain things about the monument. You can see the 3D quality of the relief, how it comes out towards us. The monument is framed. Shaw is both in the monument and outside the monument. You can see the concrete frame here, and Shaw is on the outside of the frame. Everything else is inside the frame. The Latin, you can see, omnia relinquit serarum rem publicum. The quit refers only to Robert Gould Shaw. It is the motto of the Society of Cincinnatus, from which the city of Cincinnati was named. Anybody know what the Society of Cincinnatus was or is? Okay. Well, Cincinnatus was a Roman farmer who, when Rome was in trouble, became a general, led the Roman armies to victory, and after victory he went back to being a farmer. Rather than becoming a dictator or a politician or taking over the country, he went back to his civilian job. After the American Revolution, the Society of Cincinnatus of ex-army officers was founded. They had come forward to help their country during the Revolution, and then afterwards they went back to their civilian lives. Shaw was a descendant of one of these, and so he was eligible to be a member. The African American soldiers, of course, would not be descendants of Revolutionary War officers, and were not. It applies only to Shaw. You can see the faces of the soldiers. Look at the horse. I mentioned that in class. What do the eyes of the horse and the mouth of the horse look like? You see them?
Surprised or spooked?
Yeah, surprised or spooked in some ways. And that has led some people to think that the scene presented here is the 54th marching into battle. And therefore he hears cannons and rifle shots and is afraid. But there are other indications that it's not. If you see above the flying figure, there are stars. You see the stars on the frieze above, still on the bronze. And if you count the number of stars, I forget, I've counted them, there's something like there are 34 stars, and that was the number of states in the Union before when the 54th marched down Beacon Street. But by the time it went into battle, there was one extra state, as West Virginia was admitted as a state. And so that is an indication that this was not a representation of the battle, but in fact of the march down Beacon Street. St. Gaudens, when he was here in 1897 for the dedication of the monument, surviving soldiers of the 54th marched by, and St. Gaudens said that his heart went pitter-patter when he recognized that here were old men. This was 34 years later, looking at their young selves going off to war. And so it was as if the old men marching up Beacon Street this way met the young men, their young selves marching down Beacon Street with all of the hopes and feelings that were related to that. Underneath the monument, you also see it says Robert Gould Shaw. We learn his birth dates are given. That he was born in Boston, October 15th, 1837. and his death date. All of this is Shaw. Nothing is said about the soldiers in the background. And so we get Shaw's name, we get the singular there, we get Shaw right in the middle. It's very interesting. I have a poster from 1997 ceremony marking the 100th anniversary of the monument. And there are several photographs, and the photographs are all of the African American soldiers enlarged, and there's a small little photograph of Shaw in the middle. And what the poster does is it rewrites the history of the monument. It makes the monument celebratory of the African American soldiers, rather than celebratory of Shaw. That is, in 1897, the main show of the monument was Shaw. The African American troops were background. In 1997, as well as in 2013, we have revised our thinking of the importance. Shaw is unimportant. The African American soldiers are important. The statement made by the regiment is important. Shaw's behavior, while good, was not worthy of a monument. Hundreds of white Massachusetts officers behaved as brilliantly as Shaw, leading white troops into battle during the Civil War. That the key point here is the African American troops, not Shaw. But that's a modern interpretation of the event and of the monument. When you look at the soldiers, do they look stereotypically biased and prejudiced? When you look at the soldiers, do you see caricatures of African American features, or do you see a very realistic and powerful presentation? Okay. Some critics of the monument say that St. Gaudens exhibited racism in his portrayal of the African Americans by fitting them to certain negative stereotypes that were current in the late 19th century among white Americans. Other people, the people who did that poster, for instance, see this as a great portrait of African Americans. One of the great things about this that we'll see in comparison to Emancipation group is what these soldiers are doing. I mean, for one, they're soldiers, and they're marching, and they are holding guns and rifles. And as holding guns and rifles, they represent power. What is the African American on the Emancipation group doing? You remember, have you looked at the picture, the photograph of Emancipation group? That also features a white figure, Abraham Lincoln in that case, and African American. Like this as Shaw and African American. Well, we'll see when we walk over there. A couple more points before we leave. We talk about Shaw as white and the African American soldiers here as black, but the monument is made of bronze. If you were a casual viewer of this monument, would you recognize Shaw as white rather than African American? I mean, his skin color, of course, because of the bronze medium, is brown. It's certainly not, and his hair color, it was blonde in life, but it's not blonde on this monument. So some of my students in the past have seen no racial difference between the soldiers and Shaw. And a very interesting case, though perhaps not based on first-hand knowledge. When this site was approved by the city of Boston in 1890 for the monument to be placed here, a Boston city councilman, an Irish Boston city councilman, praised Shaw for his services to his race, for leading his African-American race into battle, assuming that Shaw himself, if he was the leader of an African-American regiment, was also African-American. And if you look at this bronze monument, you might come to the same conclusion. Okay, any questions about the bronze monument before we look around at the back?
No, I honestly think they're marching. I don't really think they're going to battle.
You think they're more marching? Yeah.
They're all in step.
Yeah.
The swords down there is neat. I mean, we usually just salute.
Okay.
He's probably passing review. He's probably pulling back on the reins of the horse again to slow down.
Oh, because it's in review rather than, yeah.
Review.
Yeah, I mean, if it were going to battle, it would have to be at the beginning stages where they had a mile or so to go. But certainly, yeah, this is not the way you charge. I'm sure you're right about that. And St. Gaudens, when he imagined the old soldiers coming up Beacon Hill and these guys going down, seems to suggest that as well. Yeah. Yeah, and the number of stars, reinforces it. The one thing was the horse's head. It seems to me that a trained military horse would not be spooked on Beacon Hill, but might on battle. But it's a minor detail.
If they see a rat, they also get spooked like that too.
So it could be that, yeah. Yeah, and Shaw is able to control the horse very well. It's not getting out of the way. Okay, we're going to go down into Boston Common and look at the back. The whole monument is not just the bronze, it's also the inscriptions. All the inscriptions on the front refer only to Shaw, but we'll see what the inscriptions on the back are. Yeah, come close and let people go by. The monument, as I said, the inscriptions on the back do distinguish between whites and blacks. The white officers, taking life and honor in their hands, cast their lot with men of a despised race, unproved in war, and risk death as inciters of servile insurrection if taken prisoners, besides encountering all the common perils of camp march and battle. The Confederates had threatened that any officers leading black troops into battle would not be treated by the rules of law, but instead would be punished very, very severely. And the officers of the 54th didn't let that dissuade them. The black rank and file, so we switch from the white officers to the regular soldiers, volunteered when disaster clouded the Union cause. Okay, this volunteered when disaster clouded the Union cause is a reference to the idea that I mentioned in class, that it was the infusion of fresh African-American troops that tipped the balance between the North and the South. And when the North was in danger of giving up and losing the war, it was the fresh blood of the African American soldiers that pushed them over. Let's move over here. Maybe we can get a little bit less noisy. This is not the controlled silence of the classroom, definitely. But there's also a reference that they served without pay for 18 months. Okay, when the 54th was recruited, they were promised the same pay as white soldiers, which was the magnificent pay of $10 a month. No, actually, it was $13 a month, pardon me. I shortchanged them. And that's what the white soldiers got. When payday came around, they were only paid $10 a month, plus money was deducted for their uniforms. This was the charges for manual, or the pay for manual laborers. The men of the 54th refused, and for 18 months they refused to accept a paycheck until Congress caved in and paid them what was promised. The state of Massachusetts, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, offered to make up the difference, but the men refused as a matter of principle. That not until Congress came through and they were treated exactly like the white troops would they accept the pay. How many of you could go 18 months without a paycheck? Not me. I couldn't do it. Or how many of your parents could go 18 months without a paycheck? Would be extremely difficult. And these men had families to support, many of them. They were not wealthy. Shaw went along. He refused his pay too, but he was a multimillionaire, so it didn't make any difference, or the equivalent of a multimillionaire didn't make any difference for Shaw. And after Shaw's death, the regiment kept going, and they eventually won the battle. And they faced threatened enslavement. The Confederacy said that we will send to slavery any of the African American troops that were captured in battle. And they didn't give up. And together, the white officers, the black rank and file, they gave to the nation and the world undying proof that Africans of American descent possess the pride, courage, and devotion of the patriot soldier. And the importance of this was what the New York Tribune said. It was the equivalent of Bunker Hill to the American patriots. It was proof of their worth in not their own eyes, but in their eyes of skeptical and prejudiced, but able to change their mind, white population. Immediately under that, 180,000 such Americans enlisted under the Union flag during the Civil War. Again, the suggestion here is because of the success of the 54th. 180,000 African American soldiers enlisted, and because of that, the North won the Civil War. It can't be proved. It may not be true, but it may also be true. But it was certainly true that it was an important tipping stone towards the Union victory. The names of the white officers were listed here in 1897. Only the first two were killed at Fort Wagner. The last three were killed in other battles. And the names of all the African American soldiers were added in 1981. Why don't you think they were included on the original monument? We got Shaw's name on the front, 5 white officers who were killed on the back. Why don't you think they were included? You think it took up too much space? No, it was part of the racial prejudice of the day. In 1897, when the monument was erected, it was erected by the most progressive white thinkers on racial issues. It was radically advanced to show the African American troops at all. By 1980, it was backwards not to include the names of the African American soldiers who died, and they were all listed there. If you count them, I guess it was 1982, it says, if you count them, you'll see there are about 62 names. I've counted them a few times. It is sometimes said that half the regiment was killed in the attack on Fort Wagner. But there are only 62 names. There were 2 officers, and then Robert Gouldshaw, the colonel. That comes to only 65. The number of men in the 54th Regiment was 1,000. That was a typical Union Army regiment. And if half had been killed, it would have been 500. So there are often very, very strong exaggerations about the number of men who were killed. Okay, we've got only about 20 minutes, so instead of going to the Soldiers and Sailors Monument, which is in the middle of the Boston Common, we're going to go over to Emancipation Group in Park Square. So it'll take us about 10 minutes to get over there. We'll be able to see it briefly, and then we'll close up our class session. So we're going to walk over towards Charles Street and then go across to the Emancipation Group. Well, we'll sort of wander through. I think we can get there faster. Well, no, I think we'll go around. We'll go around the pond. Sorry. Okay, we're walking through Boston Common. We'll be going around the Frog Pond. But right now we're just trying to make a pretty quick time to get over to Park Square. Okay, and we're not going to, as I mentioned, see the Soldiers and Sailors Monument. Oh, I still have it on, okay. Of Beacon Hill from the Beacon Mall in Boston Common. We'll see more of these on our various tours of the hill. But now we're going to cut over towards the corner of Charles Street in Boylston and cross to the Park Square. And this is the Soldiers and Sailors Monument that we won't get a chance to look at. You can see that behind the carousel. This particular monument needs about $10 million worth of work to bring it up to snuff and back to its pristine, or at least to its good form. Hope we can get over here in time. I certainly don't want to be too late. What time it is, but we'll see. Okay, we're seeing lots of the park that I hadn't thought so. I wish we had a turn-off button here that I could turn this off without causing any difficulties. But we'll see. Let's see if we can do this promptly. Yeah, we're gonna run it for 5 minutes. Okay, this will be rather quick, but we'll get over there. Then I will probably take the subway over towards North Station. Let's see if I can do that. We'll get over there. It'll take about 5 minutes. Okey doke. I probably should have cut short the inscriptions and come straight over here. But nothing I can do about it. See if everybody can catch up with me. Okay, let's see where everybody is. Okay. Well, we got about 10 minutes. We'll see if we can get everybody across. Hello, long walk, longer than I had remembered it. We'll see how many people we lost on the way. The Emancipation group is right across there, where you can see that greenery. Somehow the common got bigger since the last time I did this. Well, I know why. We didn't get a chance to stop at the Sailors and Soldiers Monument. We passed it on the left. I don't know if anybody noticed it. But it needs about $10 million worth of work. So if you have a few extra bucks that you would like to give to the city of Boston, they'll be happy to refurbish it. Okay. So we'll, do we have a signal yet? Give everybody a chance. Okay. It's walk? Okay. Yeah, you guys get across. I'll wait for everybody else. But we're going, near that Chanel sign there. Okay. Okay, yeah, well, we got to wait for the next one. Sorry. Did we lose anybody on the way?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. Sorry, as I was telling the first group, it got a lot farther away than I thought from my memories, but we'll have about 5 minutes when they're there. We're going to go across now. Okay, and I don't know if we can get across. So we have to go over to that Chanel sign. Are those guys going to stop? I guess they are. Okay, we can make it. Okay, there is going to be actually a statue to Edgar Allan Poe here. Edgar Allan Poe was born about 200 yards up on the left. There is a parking lot there, unfortunately, but the house right next to the parking lot is a sort of an exact replica of the house that, exact same thing that Poe was born in. His mother was an actress in Boston. Can we make it? I don't want to lose anybody. Well, I guess we can make it. Okay. Okay, we're going straight here across the street, and we'll have just a few minutes to look at the monument. Okay, sorry for putting everybody's life in danger crossing the street. I hope we didn't lose anybody along the way. This is Emancipation Group. It's a copy, an exact copy of a statue that is in a park in Washington, D.C., and that was the prime memorial to Abraham Lincoln until the Lincoln Memorial was built in 1909. It was originally paid for by the nickels and dimes given by newly freed African Americans who had been slaves and wanted, when they heard of Abraham Lincoln's death, they pooled their money to build a monument to him. And there may have been some white money thrown in, it's not clear, but the propaganda on the statue in Washington, D.C. is it was paid for 100% by poor African Americans. The African Americans had no say in the design of the monument, however. It was white people who picked out the sculptor Thomas Ball of Charlestown, Massachusetts, though he was in Italy when he made this statue, and picked out what it would look like. Is there anything about the statue that you think that an African American might object to? Anything about the statue that would seem to be objectionable? Yeah, look at it. Yeah. He's on his knees. Yeah, you got a kneeling slave. Well, if you look closely, you'll see that he has burst his chains and he's about to jump up. At least that is the argument. That really, rather than a kneeling slave, what you see is a rising slave. But Frederick Douglass, the great civil rights abolitionist leader who himself was an escaped slave, was the main speaker at the dedication of the Washington version of this in 1876. And he is quoted as saying that he didn't like, he wished that there was a more manly posture from the Archer Alexander, who's represented as a slave. So when you compare this with the Shaw 54th, if you were African Americans in the late 19th century, would you have been preferred to have been pictured as marching soldiers with rifles, or pictured as a kneeling, perhaps rising, newly freed slave here? Katie Mullis-Kresser, in the article I had you look at for today, argues that because the original monument was paid for by African Americans and is called the Freedmen's Memorial, and because Archer Alexander, the slave, was made from life, or at least from a photograph, whereas the African Americans on the Shaw 54th Memorial are fakes in the sense that they were not modeled on actual soldiers of the 54th, even though many were still alive, and certainly photographs of how they had looked 34 years later existed. But St. Gaudens modeled them on, made ideal representations of African Americans rather than on the real thing. This is the real thing. This is really how Archer Alexander looked. Probably wore more clothes in general, but this is how he looked. Kresser argues that this is more racially progressive, and the Shaw 54th monument is backwards in terms of racial equality. People argue that because the African Americans on the Shaw 54th Memorial are carrying guns and show power and are marching disciplined soldiers, that they are preferable to this kneeling, rising figure of Archer Alexander. I think you have to make up your own mind on this. But Kresser uses this as a contrast to the Shaw 54th Memorial. Any questions about the Emancipation Group? Okay, this was paid for by Moses Kimball, who was a state legislator and who ran a museum in Boston. He was a patron of the sculptor Thomas Ball. And when this was put up, this was a good working class section of Boston, not really a hotel kind of business sort of district. And this was put up in 1879, which was 25 years or so, 28 years or so before the Shaw 54th Memorial. Okay, well, we've run out of time for the class today. Can everybody get back okay from here? On the way back, if you do go through the Common and you follow the same path we came, to your right, not too far from here, will be the Soldiers and Sailors Monument, which is well worth looking at. Okay, everybody, thanks for bearing with me on this long walk.